Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. This is an Arsenal podcast for all you wonderful Arsenal fans out there. I just want to welcome you if you're listening, and I want to welcome our esteemed panelists this evening. Look at them, they're looking great, aren't they? I'm going to introduce first the man who has all the plans. He is the man with the master plan, in other words. That is Danny, the GFP. Say hello, Danny.
Hello, Danny. Hello, John. How are you, Femi?
I'm good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. You had a good week?
Yeah, it's been good. Secondly, and not leastly, I want to also welcome the man with the voice that is so sultry, and he does his thing on a daily basis, keeping London running. Welcome, Carl.
Hello, Femi. Hello, Daniel.
Good evening. How's everyone doing?
Keep London running. God, what a 5 years that?
Listen, without my imports, London would come to a standstill, and nobody wants that. So, I think the world owes me my dues. They owe me more than my quite large wages. But,
If Fifey's listening to this, he's just launched his MP3 player out of the nearest window.
You see, the problem with Andrew is that, one, he doesn't reply to messages promptly. And if you
True.
are listening, Andrew, reply promptly. And also, he he doesn't take the tube anymore or the train. He's one of those, I need to stay at home and work. He's not a key worker.
Believe it or not, I haven't been on public transport for almost a year now, which is absolutely insane, isn't it? It's coming up to a year in March, so that's around the corner.
The only reason why I take it is to go to and from work. And even then, I don't use a tube. I just use the trains. So, but, I hope everyone is listening to government guidance and staying at home and only traveling if you absolutely have to. Let's try and beat this horrible virus.
Yeah.
You're a little bit quiet, Carl. If you can pump it up a little bit, that'd be lovely. Yes, right, family. Where are we starting?
So I thought it's a good place to start. Actually, I think about maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Let's say 3 weeks ago, we were all down in the dumps. It was a hard time to be an Arsenal fan, and a lot of fans were having sleepless nights and a lot of arguments on the Twitter. But as of late, been on a good run of form. 4 wins in a row, 3 consecutive clean sheets as well. I mean, how does that make you feel? I'll go with Carl first. How are you feeling about everything now?
A bit more relaxed. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bit worried. I know Danny said that we wasn't gonna go down, but we was in a perilous situation. It wasn't good. I mean, you think to yourself, really, really bad run of results. What do? Let's go back to Villa. We lost to Villa, didn't we? 3-0 at home, which nobody thought that would ever happen. But lose 3-0, and they played us off the park. It wasn't like one of those 3-0 that you look at and you think to yourself, oh well, it's one of those things. They actually played us off the park. They battered us, and then we went to Leeds and drew, and even that was a dire performance. We just couldn't do anything. And then Wolves beat us at home, and then we lost to the scum. And a Wolves team, Burnley came to the Emirates and beat us, which was ridiculous. I mean, Burnley beating us at home, and then we drew Southampton and lost to Everton. And after that, it was looking bad. It was looking really, really bad. And
I was feeling all right before you started talking, Carl. I got over all of this, and now it's all come flooding back. Thanks.
You have to look at the bad side, but then you look at the good, because we played Chelsea at home, and then because nobody thought we was going to beat Chelsea. Let's be honest, I very much doubt either of you two thought we was going to beat Chelsea. And Fat Frank and his boys came down to the Emirates and we beat them. And then that was the sort of the catalyst. And I think our run of form ever since that Chelsea game has been brilliant. Like you said, we've won. We've literally only conceded that one goal against Chelsea. And it's onwards and upwards. I think that a change of personnel was definitely the kickstart to sort of the run of form, because, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in depth maybe now or later, but the personnel on the pitch just wasn't good enough. It just wasn't at all. The likes of Willian, who for me just seems like he can't run anymore. He's lost his legs, and he wasn't doing us any favors. Pepe, very, very inconsistent. Just no end product, no creativity. Just literally running in circles. The midfield was just doing nothing at all. And Mikel Arteta has obviously looked at it and made some changes, not probably through his own doing. It's probably through necessity, because we had a lot of players out for COVID reasons and injuries and not feeling well. And he brought in the kids, and look what they've done. They've literally rejuvenated Arsenal. They've literally came in and said, we're the kids, we're going to take over now, and they've done it. So congratulations to them. But Arteta needs to obviously get some praise at all, because if you're gonna browbeat him for when we lose games, you've got to give him credit for when we win games. And for that, he has to take a tiny little bit of credit, because that was he's doing.
Yeah, before I speak to Danny, before I say what was, how are you feeling now? What was the lowest point for you of that run of results? What do you think the lowest point was?
Burnley, losing to Burnley at home. That was for me, because I remember talking in the group and we were saying we've got to beat Burnley. But Burnley coming to the Emirates at home, we've got to beat them. And I think when we lost to them, and it was, I don't know, we had a red card in that game. I understand. Was it Gabriel that got sent off up against Burnley?
No, that was Xhaka.
Xhaka.
Yeah.
And it was just a bad performance. And then to top it off, it was an own goal by Aubameyang, wasn't it? He hadn't hit the net at the other end of the pitch for God knows how many games, and then he scores an own goal. But that, for me, was when I was worried the most, losing at Burnley to home, because all the other teams, Villa, that was a bad performance, and they beat us 3-0, absolutely played us off the park. Spurs, even though we lost to Spurs away, Spurs at that time were in a good run of form, and they hit us on the break with 2 lucky goals. I think not lucky, but it was 2 counter-attacks. They never played us off the park. They never really beat us. It was just 2 counter-attacks and then one where a player walked off the pitch because he was injured. But I would say, Burnley at home when we lost 1-0, that was the one that really got to me.
Yeah, I think for me it might have been Everton away, maybe. I think there was something about our attacking that just lacked imagination too many times for my liking. So Danny, with 4 wins in a row, I'm going to ask you the big question. Do you change the team, or do you keep the winning team? With we're going to talk about a few players coming back later on in the show, but do you change the team? Actually, we might as well incorporate it into this section. We've got Partey coming back and Gabriel coming back. What would you do?
I think certain players at the club have come in knowing they're not going to be first starters. So Gabriel has to come back and slip back in there. I think Mari, when he signed, wasn't guaranteed first team football, and I think the new contract that Holding has signed has there might have been an agreement that you are going to be playing more regular, but it's Mari, Gabriel, and Holding are the main 3. Now those 3 can be rotated all season, and I don't think any of them are going to complain. But I think it would not be nice to bring Gabriel back in, because it's not like he's been injured or anything, is it? Did he test positive for COVID, or was he just get the text saying, "Oh, you've been around people"?
He tested positive. They said he had mild symptoms.
So it's not like a physical injury like so many of our other, like Partey coming back. That's a physical injury. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he does start. I really like the look of Mari and Mari. I'm going to call him each one 7 different times during the show. I really like the composure of that bloke. I mean, you look at what he's done in his career. He's played in Spain, and then he played in Holland. He was really good at Man City, but then never really got any games, went off to Brazil and played brilliantly there for them, become a short-term legend, a massively overused word. And I really like Bob Holding, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was. But there's that thing, isn't there? Most teams are quite happy to play 2 right-footed centre-backs, but there seems to be an issue with Arsenal fans going, we can't play 2 left-footed centre-backs. Of course you can. There's no reason why you can't.
I think this is something that Josh spoke about on the podcast last week, and he did explain it quite well, actually. I think he was talking about the training of 2 left-footed centre-backs where they never ever play on the right side, and that made me picture maybe just maybe if you've got a very right-footed or very left-footed player going up against them and they're not used to that side, it could be a problem for them. Maybe, never know. It will take a lot of training, probably, in the training ground.
I can't remember the facts, but I was listening to Big Kev Campbell, Arsenal legend, last night. It was on with Sophie. Go and have a look for their podcast. And he was explaining with Tony Adams and with Martin Kieran. I think he said they were both the same foot, or one of them was left-footed and played on the right, or something like that. But go and have a listen to it because Kev knows. So my personal choice would be Mari and Gabriel. I just think, I mean, Mari's just such a good-looking bloke. We need, since Giroud's gone, all the Arsenal ladies that were drawing, some of the men that are drooling over Giroud and that wonderful beard. We've now got Pablo Mari to look at, and he's a good. I'm quite envious, actually. He's a very good-looking chap. So I've wandered off the point here, haven't I? So yeah, Partey. We can't make the same mistake we've made before. I think twice he's been injured twice in his entire career. He's been at Arsenal for 5 minutes and been out injured twice already. So Arteta isn't going to make that same mistake of playing him too soon. So it'll probably. I think someone said that he'll be on the bench. It might have been Simon said he's going to be on the bench for the Palace game.
That would be smart, sensible move, I think.
But
so then, if you've got 3 consecutive clean sheets, you're looking at what's the constant in those 3 games? Is Pablo Mari. Carl, I'll ask you this one. I wasn't too sure about him, I'll be honest with you, but on Saturday against Newcastle was the first time that I was a little bit more convinced that he's actually a very good player. I remember when we signed him, Tim Vickery, who does the South American stuff all over radio, he was raving about him, his leadership skills, how he helps a team push, even though he's not fast, he helps them push out from the back, and he's very commanding. What have you made of him, and who would you choose right now between him and Gabriel?
As I said to Danny on Saturday, I think you've got to keep your informed players. I understand that, Gabriel's played really well since he's been here, probably our best player. But Mari's playing very, very well at the moment. And just to take him out of the squad just like that, I think isn't going to be good for him. Definitely not good for his confidence. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that Gabriel can't get back into the squad. He can ease him back in. But if Mari's playing this well, you've got to keep him in. I'm not a fan of playing 2 left-footed centre-backs, but I personally wouldn't play Mari and Gabriel together. And I'm not saying that Gabriel loses his place, but he can't just come back into the squad like that. It's like if you're doing a good job at work and you've done all the groundwork, and then someone else comes and takes over the project. You'll be like, "What? But I brought it up to this level. Why now is it changing?" Do you know what I mean? So you have to kind of keep him in, I think, because it's just unfair to him. And he's going to make a mistake. All defenders do. There's not one defender in the world that has not made a mistake. And I don't want people jumping all over him just saying, "Oh, you should have played Gabriel," blah, blah, blah. And listen, with this COVID situation, we've got a lot of games coming thick and fast. So you're going to need to interchange people. No person can play every single week in, week out. Especially, we've got FA Cup games, and then Europa's going to start soon again. So, it's not like there's not going to be a chance for other players to play. But I just think that at this precise moment in time, right now, you got to play your informed players. It's kind of like taking, I don't know, Saka out the squad or Smith Rowe. You know, they're the informed players. So as far as I'm concerned, you play your best team, but you also play the players that are making an impact. And right now, Mari's making an impact in the squad.
That's yeah. I have to agree with that. Until Saturday, I probably wouldn't have agreed with that, but I have to say I've been very impressed with his leadership skills. Especially, he seems to be a very commanding defender. And I saw a stat the other day about our set piece defending, which is obviously we got the new set piece coach, and one of the stats was that we've allowed the least shots on target from set pieces, and I think we've only conceded 2 goals from set pieces this season, which is pretty phenomenal considering under Emery I think we had something like 17 or something like that. So we've come a long way in that respect, and he's sort of added to that as well. So we're talking about young players and players that are in and out of form. I want to talk about a few players that we want to really look at. Young players, it's very difficult, and I can't. Probably Man United is probably the last team, maybe the Leeds team a few years ago that went to the semi-finals, but they bought a lot of those young players. But it's very hard to get a lot of young players coming through at one club. So we've got a few that we need to talk about, because we need to talk about their form or where they fit into this team. So I'll start with you, Danny. The first one I bring up is Joe Willock. You can talk to us about Joe Willock. What have you made of him? I thought his performance on Saturday was a little bit worrying for me. What have you made of Joe?
It is hard to pick out if there is a problem, and if there is a problem, what the problem is. Just looking at last season, I think he played more games, not the most minutes, but more games than anybody else last season. Just looking here, 44 games he played last season, the same number as Aubameyang. Now, for someone who's 20, they're 19 and 20 then now this season, I think he's 20 and 21. It might be. It's easier for the likes of Saka and Martinelli and Smith Rowe because they only play really in one position. Although they have one job, but Saka will play left wing or right wing. He's shown that he can switch from one to the other perfectly. But basically, just by being a winger, I don't want to make that sound like it's simple, but that's his job. It's like with when he plays anywhere down on that side. It's not like we're asking him with Willock. Willock has played. I think he's played wide both time on both wings. He's played in central midfield. I think he's played attacking midfield. He's played in the number 10. And from years ago, you would see these young players under Wenger, like Henry, start off out wide, and then you'd make your way inwards, maybe just to see them. So then you know what as a striker, what you can expect from a winger. If you've played on the wing, then that's how we used to say famously, the likes of Wright and Bergkamp and Henry, they knew where each other would be without having to look. But it's been like 3 seasons now. Willock has played 77 games for Arsenal and got 11 goals. You'd have thought by now that he'd be getting a little bit closer to going, yeah, this is my position. But I don't know whether that is down to the central midfield is the bit at Arsenal at the moment, which is the one thing that needs to be fixed. You've got players coming in and out. I think we'll see a lot more of where Willock's best position is going to be when Partey's back, because when Partey comes in, he's our number 1 midfielder and everything else will play around him. So once he's back, then maybe Willock will go, well, I am a central midfielder who gets forward like Ramsey rather than being a number 10 like Ozil is. Or maybe he's going to be a kind of player like Wilshere is, where he does. Is Wilshere kind of box to box? So whichever description you want to give the bloke, it's taken a while for him to turn his League Cup and Europa League form, because in that 77 games, he's got 11 goals. Now that's a fantastic return on that many games. And he looks really, really good. But as a young player, you got to think, well, this week, am I playing wide? Am I playing deep? Am I playing up front? Hopefully this season is going to be the season where it's going to come good, because quite a lot of Arsenal fans are going, no, he's done. Like this, the tide is starting to turn on Eddie as well. People are going, no, get rid of him, which is a shame, because these are gooners. These are people who have been at the club since they were children. These are magnificent Hale-in products, and I want to see them do well.
But is that a reason to keep someone, Danny? Just because they've come through the academy and they're gooners? If they're not good enough,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's not, but if he's not good enough, then is that just a reason to keep him?
I don't know if we can say that he isn't good enough, because it's not like he's costing us a load of money in wages, which is why we want some players out. And it's not like he's taking up a spot because he counts as homegrown and we can have lots of them. So I don't see any negatives to just keeping Willock at the club. Hopefully, I mean, how long has Smith Rowe been doing all of this lot? And it's only just been in the last month that we've gone, oh, fuck, here he is. He's turned up. The player's here. We now know his position. We now know his ability, and we can all see what he's doing. Maybe just taking a little bit longer for Willock to do that.
With that being said, you made a point now.
Oh, I think his Wi-Fi's gone wonky. We might never know what the point was.
Coming back from injury now.
Femi, said it and you broke up.
What was he going to say? What do you reckon?
You never know. You might have to go out and come back in, Femi. But Danny, I'll ask you a question. So we were talking about, obviously, some of the players that we have coming through. Smith Rowe, he went out on loan. He Huddersfield, wasn't it? And was it Huddersfield? It was, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, and
help them with the relegation battle.
And I think that's always good for a player like that to go down a level and just, Premier League is much different to the Championship. I think the Championship is probably one of the, if not the hardest leagues in the world, or probably one of the best, definitely. And it's good for a player to play week in, week out, especially if someone at that age where the Premier League is different to the Championship, because in the Premier League it's a bit fancy. In the Championship you're going to get kicked about. So if someone sort of can make it in the Championship and come up and play week in, week out and learn games, learn how to play, learn when to run, learn when to stop, that's always good. Do you think that the likes of Joe Willock and Reiss Nelson are kind of lower in the pecking order because they haven't done that? They haven't gone out on loan and played week in, week out and sort of learn not how to play the game of football, but learn what it takes to play week in, week out, because they've never done that in their careers, apart from the under 23s.
And you mean in England, because Nelson went to Germany? Yeah, I think you got Will. Playing in the Championship, like you say, is the making of a player, because you've got teams coming down from the Premier League that are eager to get back up, and then you've got the teams. There's so many big teams in the Championship, so I don't think going out on loan to Germany has really done him many favours. You asked Josh, and Josh would go, he was terrible. He had a couple of good games at the start, but then we have seen with Eddie when he went to the Championship, didn't really get the chances. But there's been so Femi's back.
But that's the thing. Even when Eddie went down to the Championship, he wasn't getting picked for Leeds, and then obviously
that wasn't his fault.
Back. So again, he wasn't sort of learning his craft of how to play week in, week out football. So this is why I'm saying, does it affect players who don't do that, who don't know? Because like I said, Smith Rowe is coming and he's absolutely done brilliantly. I mean,
so soon after being there,
yeah, and I know we're sort of jumping on the wave right now, and it could all change. Do you know what I mean? He could have a shocker against Palace or Newcastle, and everyone's jumping on his back. But at the moment, you'd have to say the introduction of sort of that group of players, Martinelli and also Smith Rowe, has totally transformed our season. So again, do you think that the likes of Reiss Nelson needs another loan, and Chris Willock needs a loan?
Needs a loan. We're just talking about. You said I made a good point, Femi, but we're just talking about does going to the Championship help our players evolve as players? And I think we come to the conclusion that they do, because Smith Rowe went to Huddersfield and played really well. But we need to make sure that if a player goes on loan, Femi, that he's going to get games. No more of this going on loan and like Eddie did and only getting a few sub games, because that does nobody any favours. So I think we could maybe even Nelson have a loan in the Premier League side.
Yeah, I think if this was a normal season, where you're not playing sort of every single. I can't remember. I mean, there's been a few weeks, maybe one or two, that we've not played in a week, but we've played every midweek. And when Europe starts it's only a few weeks till we'll go back to Europa League. We're literally going to be back to Sunday, Thursday, maybe even that dreaded Sunday night slot that we lost every game. Sunday, Thursday every week, and that's probably on Arteta's mind, which is to keep them around because of that sort of situation. But if you've got, like, we've got too many players, you need young players getting game time. If you look at the way Chelsea did it with their young players like Tammy Abraham, for example, went on a couple of loans before he came back. Eddie hasn't had that sort of game time, and he's now feeding on scraps in terms of game time. That's not really going to help his development, and then the fans are now getting on his back, like you're saying. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to. I think half season loans are quite a good compromise. So where you'll finish group stages of competitions and there's not as many games. If we drew a smaller team, for example, we've drawn Benfica, so we have to play a sort of a strong team in that game. So I mean, especially someone like Reiss Nelson probably needs to go out on loan. He needs something for his development. A championship loan isn't bad as well, because the quality of the championship, it means that they have to fight for their place. They have to fight every week. So I think loan time is probably, and that's what I was saying about Joe Willock as well. When when Partey's been injured for about 2 months now, he still hasn't had a lot of game time. So now Partey's back. Where's he going to get the game time again?
Yeah, because we don't have we're out the League Cup, and we don't have the group stage of the Europa League where you two could play. We could all play in the Europa League against Dundalk and things like that. I mean, we won 6 out of 6. And so those games where he could come in and establish himself, those games are gone. We've only got tough games now. Yeah. But it's good.
Like I said, even in the FA Cup, we've got, who's it, Southampton
or Shrewsbury.
I mean, Laws will say it's probably going to be Southampton, but look how good they're playing at the moment. So if he wants to stay in the FA Cup, he's going to have to put out a full-strength squad, isn't he? Let's be really honest. So, you can't even say he's going to come in against Southampton, and it's a bit worrying that, like you said, where is his game time going to come from? Can we afford at the moment to go and loan him out, or do we need him as cover just in case one of our mid-party gets injured, or Xhaka gets injured, or Ceballos gets injured?
But it is a good sign that when our young players are talking about going, it's the level of club that they've been linked with. Now, Eddie's been linked with a move to West Ham, and I think Southampton and a few teams like that. It's not like Barnet are coming in for them. We think like with poor old Matt Macey. No disrespect to Matt Macey, but he's been at Arsenal for 10, 12 years. He's played, I think, 2 or 3 games, and now he's gone to play in Edinburgh. It's a beautiful city. It's one of my favourite cities I've ever been to. But you're going to go and play in the Scottish Premier League. You're not even playing for one of the big 2, and so that if that is some kind of judgment on the player's ability, the teams that want you, then that's pretty good for Eddie, because West Ham are a mid-table Premier League team that have just got rid of a bloke they paid 45 million for 20 million, and they moved out another couple. So I think it'd be good, but I wouldn't want to sell him. I'd like him to go on loan there for maybe, but then again, like you say, we might need him because we've only got two other strikers, because Balogun looks like he's not in no hurry to stay, which is a travesty.
But a question for both of you, because Danny just sort of said something that kind of sparked my interest. So if, say, a Scottish Premier League club, Hearts, Hibs, anyone out of the big 2, well, big 1 at the moment, because we're one of them like 90 points ahead, stupid league. But out of those, if the other 10 clubs came in for him, would you recommend him going to Scotland if he was guaranteed to play week in every single game he was going to play? Would you say no?
Yeah, I'd only let him go to Rangers. To be honest with you, I'd only let him go to Rangers. The quality of the league is just. It's like sending them to League One. Basically, we wouldn't we wouldn't. I mean, these are, even though they're not getting into our team, like Danny said, the kind of teams that they would attract for transfer, that will probably devalue their transfer value if anything.
Especially if they
even
go there and fail. Imagine that.
yeah, you want to. I think top of the championship at worst is what you want to be looking at. Lower Premier League. I mean, as long as they're going to get game time, the lower Premier League is quite good as well. I'm sure teams like Newcastle. I just watched Newcastle. We watched them on Saturday. They're pretty dreadful at the moment. Someone like Reiss Nelson could definitely get into a Newcastle team. Someone like Eddie could definitely get into a lower Premier League team.
It'd be good if there's no pressure for them either. I don't want them to go to a relegation battle, because you want them to go mid-table where they're going to be able to play well, win games, get confidence, and express themselves, and then show what they can really do.
Well, that's kind of what
Sheffield United is a no.
Smith Rowe done, isn't it? He went down to the Championship, playing week in, week
tough
out.
Battle.
Yeah. But that makes him, when, like I said, you got to learn how to manage yourself when you're playing week in, week out. And I think, they can all play football very well, because they wouldn't be in the Arsenal squad if they couldn't. But it's almost like when you go out on loan, it's learning how to play football all over again.
True.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that will probably determine their futures is something that we probably can talk about now, is incoming transfers as well. Because if you're looking at a lot of the rumors talking about us signing certain players, that's once again going to block their pathway. Even if you sign one more central midfielder or forward thinking midfielder, that's a blockage for at least two of them, if not all three of them, to be honest with you. So I want to get your thoughts on a few transfers that we've been linked with. So just a couple. The first one is Julian Brandt. Danny, you can give us the lowdown on Julian Brandt, and then just we can discuss him a little bit.
I need permission from Drew for this, because Drew's the expert, a fellow Dortmund fan, and if I get even one syllable or pronunciation wrong here, he'll come round, because he's 6'9" and he'll tickle me until I wet myself. The notes I made on him, Borussia Dortmund, he signed, so this is his second season there. When he was at the team before that, which I've forgotten what it was, it might be Mönchengladbach, I thought, someone like that. He was averaging, I think, 10, 11, 12 goals a season. He's a more creative player, and so then Dortmund bought him. They spent a decent amount of money on him. He's only 24 now, so that's nearly 25, and he was 23. This season, 21 games and 1 goal. Now, Drew has made it very clear. Drew changes his at regularly, so God knows what it is at the moment. But Drew said he isn't really, his job isn't to be a goal scorer. Although and I heard on another podcast, the Tifo one, I think we were all talking about in the WhatsApp group, that he's played left wing, right wing, central midfield, attacking midfield. He's played in all of those positions. So this season, 21 games, 1 goal isn't good, but Dortmund are kind of struggling, plus they've had a manager change. Last season, 42 games and 7 goals, but 35 games for Germany with, I think it was 3 goals that he'd scored. So I don't know what player we'd be getting. We would be getting the team that he was at before Dortmund, where he seemed to be a bit of a playmaker, scoring goals, getting assists, or if he's going to be the player at Dortmund, which is why they want to get rid of him. I have never seen him play. I know absolutely nothing about him, but I think he's 6'1", and he's a decent. You don't get 35 caps for Germany if you're rubbish, do you? But I don't want another player coming in who we're going to go, well, where do we play him? I want someone to come in like Partey, where he's going to go, yep, one of the first names on the sheet. We know what he's going to do. We know what he has done, and we're not going to be going, oh, is he left wing this week? We don't want another Willock, is what I'm saying.
This is it. Now, with that being said, Carl, what do you think about? I'm just going to focus on Julian Brandt, because we discussed quite a few of the transfer rumors. We've answered a few questions. I don't think there's a lot moved on, but this one is something that really intrigues me, actually, because if you're signing him to play out wide, what would be the point? I would ask Carl, because if you've got Aubameyang and you've got Martinelli for the left side, you've got Saka, Pepe, Willian. Is it not the number 10 that we've decided we're playing a 4-2-3-1 now? Arteta's stuck his neck out on that now. Is it not a number 10 that we need, considering we cannot risk Smith Rowe playing every single game.
Yeah, we probably do, but I got a feeling that Arteta's lost a little faith in Pepe. Definitely, and I think maybe behind closed doors he won't publicly tell you, but also Willian as well. I think that Pepe has not produced what he promised, or what we thought he was going to produce. I don't think that. Me and Danny were talking about it on Saturday. Would you take 30 million for Pepe right now? And I think we both come to the conclusion that we probably would. You take a huge loss on him because definitely, um, his stock definitely hasn't risen. And I think that Arteta's kind of, seen it and just probably thought, I need someone else to replace him. Yes, I agree with you. I think we do need a number 10 if you're going to play the 4-2-3-1 situation. So we definitely need a number 10, and hopefully he can come in. Hopefully he can come into that sort of mode. But if he's going to play out wide, then yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I don't see the point of signing him to play him out wide, unless you're going to play Lacazette in that number 10 role, that link up man, and then play Aubameyang up front. So yeah, it's really hard to judge what Arteta's thinking at the moment. For me, if you're going to talk about Julian, there's only one Julian to talk about, isn't there? And that's Mr. Draxler. But no, joking. But in all seriousness, I don't think we need any more wide players, especially not in January. Maybe you need to look in the summer and see if you can move on a few people. We could talk about Willian, we could talk about Pepe. But for now, in January, signing another wide person, for me, absolutely redundant. And I think we need to sign a number 10.
Yeah.
What do you do, Femi? Do you want him?
I mean, I'm a like you said, I have not watched a lot of him play, so I can only go by things like Drew's thread that he had, and I've seen a few other bits and bobs, but it's one of those ones where I'm more trusting in someone like Reiss Nelson. If you're going to have that many wide players, I wouldn't bother bringing another wide player in. But I mean, I like Buendia. I've seen him play for sure. I do like him. Nice, tidy, creative player. But once again, he tends to operate from a wide playmaker role at Norwich. So it's that kind of thing as well. And I think one of the things you were saying about the Germany caps, having 35 caps for Germany now, usually I would say, yeah, that's a good thing, isn't it? But the last, I don't know about, if I look at the last 35 games that Germany have played, they've not been pulling up any trees at all. They've been, I mean, the last resort that they had, I'd wonder if he was in that team. I'd be worried about that because they got absolutely stuffed by Spain, didn't they? So Germany haven't been great recently, so it's not that hard to get in their team. And speaking of Germany, let's keep it all things German. Actually, before we go all things German, I want to really just ask you very quickly: do you think we're going to be busy with incomings in the next couple of weeks that we've got of the transfer window? It's only a few 15, 20 days left of the transfer window. Do you think we're going to be busy or not, incoming wise?
I just can't see it. Arsenal just took out £120 million loan just to stay afloat, but to help them along with this COVID crisis. We can't go out and be spending money on players. So for me personally, I just can't see us going out and spending silly amount of money. It would be lovely to get some players in, and we'll talk about obviously the goalkeeping situation later, but we definitely have to get a goalkeeper. 100%, it has to happen. It would be nice to go and get a midfielder in. It would be, lovely. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. I think I think COVID is really affected a lot of clubs, and for a team like Arsenal who rely on match day revenue, you're talking 2 million every single game, 19 games at home. And then you're talking about the odd cup game at home as well. So that's another, 2 mil. And, it's hit us hard, the fact that we have to go and get a loan. So for us, I just don't see us spending a lot of money now when in June or in the summer, we might need to take that money and go and buy a better player. Why get a player now that may cost you, I don't know, 10 with a stopgap, who you can go and get for 15 as a proper player, if that makes sense.
Danny, do you think we're going to be busy incoming-wise?
Firstly, Bernd and Leno were unused subs in that 6-0 hammering by Spain, just to ease us all. I think getting players out is more important than getting players in, because the Crystal Palace podcast sent us some questions and I forgot to give them to everybody, so I answered them quickly the other night. And they were saying that, do you need any players? And I said, I think at the moment we've got everybody we need. I don't want to upset the balance of the team at the moment by bringing in too many players. I don't think we need a goalkeeper is what we need. Someone like Rob Elliott, who was let go by Newcastle, David James, if he's still around, someone of that quality. He's played a load of Premier League games and is close to retirement, but David James is never going to be retired. Jens Lehmann, another one, someone who can just come in and sit on the bench and shout at people. But no, I think Rob Elliott, I think his name's Rob Elliott, the one that used to play for Newcastle. They let him go at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And a journeyman one. Although it was a shame that we didn't go and get who's the bloke who was at Stoke, English goalkeeper, got to Crystal Palace. That's it. I think
he was now third choice at Crystal Palace.
Yeah, but I think he played in the cup game the other week and then they lost. So, but that kind of player who maybe someone who is lost, is a bit lost in the wilderness.
Remember,
maybe someone
England's number one. Jesus.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. It's crazy. That's what 2 seasons in the Championship will do to you at the bottom when they should have gone down. But I'm more worried about players going out. There's he who shall not be named. He needs to pull his finger out and go. I mean, if you're looking at his Instagram, he's loads of things of him. It looks like he's in a Turkish sitting room with the pictures, and I think they were drinking Turkish tea or something. I vaguely remember something like that. So they're teasing us. It looks like Genoa want Socrates. There's a couple of teams that have said they're interested in Mustafi. According to reports, I know nothing about transfers, but I think at this time we've got the players that can come through and do a job. We've seen the emergence of Saka and Martinelli and Smith Rowe, and then we've got the other ones we were talking about earlier, Nelson, Willock, and Eddie, that can cover if they need to. So I think things are falling into place nicely. So like you were saying, Carl, we don't take out a £120 million loan if we can go and afford to go and buy loads of players. Maybe bringing Julian Brandt in might be a good idea. But if we don't sign anyone, I'll be perfectly happy. It's just I just want so many. The 3 players I want out of the club, and they've got to go.
Let's talk about the 3 players. Let's go straight on to them. There's a German connection, as I was saying, with all 3 of them as well. So let's talk about, first of all, let's not even spend too much time on them, but let's talk about Mesut Ozil. Let's bring his name back into existence. So yeah,
start them. You're triggering people.
Yeah, exactly. Don't tag his name on this, but by any means. So you've got Mesut, who's been sort of giving all sorts of hints, and basically reading between the lines, he's basically agreed a contract with Fenerbahce. And basically, he's working out a deal with us. Even with Arteta's comments yesterday, he said Edu and the board, are working on whatever they need to work on for the last 3 days. Now, one of the things that came out was that his agent offered us the chance to pay him off in installments for 18 months.
Is that the 35 grand a week thing? If he goes, he still wants 35 grand a week for the next year and a half.
18 months. Yes. Now,
thanks.
Would you rather pay him off for 18 months or just leave him in the reserves for the next 6 months and just let him go and never have him on your books again? What would you rather do?
That's a tough one, isn't it? Just get rid of him at any cost, even if we have to pay that. We wouldn't. We aren't the first. I mean, Bale is at Spurs, isn't he? On his £400,000 a week, and I think Real Madrid are still paying the majority of that. Juventus can't get rid of Ramsey, even if they wanted to, because he's on 400 grand a week. We wouldn't be the first team. I mean, if it's his 35 grand, Carl, that's okay, isn't it? And that's justifiable because we're getting him out. But I think it will maybe have to do with image rights and stuff like that, because we paid a lot of money to get that. So this is why we don't run a club, because we've got no idea. But yeah, just go. Yeah, have some money and piss off.
No, the problem is that you don't want a player to hold you to ransom. Would I pay him 35 grand a week for 18 months? The problem is, and I think Arseblog and Gunnerblog sort of raised this, is that footballers at the moment, with these perilous times of COVID, they need a club, because, you know, at the moment they don't know if they're going to get signed or what. So I think that is his kind of insurance plan, where, you know, if for some reason he doesn't get a club, he's still got 35 grand coming in for the next 18 months.
How will you cope on 35 grand a week, Carl?
The problem is
tough, isn't it?
The problem is, Danny, when you earn like £350,000 a week, you live a £350,000 a week lifestyle. So the issue is, you know, he has certain outgoings, unfortunately, that, I mean, I don't even know how much that is. Alexa, what's 35 times 18?
Shitloads.
So that's 630. So that's 6.3 million for 18 months. Paying him 6.3 million, or
you could have him shot for less than that, couldn't you?
You know, 6.3 million, or leave him in the reserves for the next
He's not even in reserves, Carl. He's not even playing for the reserve.
For the next 6 months, for £350,000 a week. That's, I don't know. I just don't want to be held ransom to him personally. So I'd probably just leave him. I would just say, you know what, cool.
I would. If they keep coming with silly offers to the club to, like you said, try and hold the club to ransom, to say, well, you want him out, so you have to pay up I think we still owe him about 8 million total. I think
another loyalty payment.
Yeah, if we owe him about 8 million between now and June, whatever it is, I would just say, you know what, mate, just sit here. Then we don't mind. Just sit here, just train. We're not gonna. They can't stop him training, because apparently he can take us to court if we stop him training. So come to training if you want. If you don't want to come, it's just a shame, because it seems like Arteta is trying to get rid of a group of players. Look at Mustafi and Socrates as well.
You know what they are, didn't you? The Bundesliga bastards.
Yeah, the Kolasinac is gone as well. It's a group of players that he seems to have, you know, decided, you know, it's just time to move on. And it would be a shame if he decided that he wanted to stay. But my personal thing is, I think he's been not as interested in football, let's put it like that, since the Germany situation happened. I think he's found it hard to motivate himself to play football. But that's my opinion. I don't know him in any way, but it'll be interesting to see if he pulls the trigger and just says, you know what, just let me go, and settles for something that we can pay. Even if we paid his wages till the end of the season and just let him go, even if we paid the 100%, I mean, we would have to pay it either ways, won't we? So,
do you think that maybe he's trying to save face as well a little bit? Because you are the legend, because he is a legend of world of football, not maybe at Arsenal, some would say, but for Germany, for Real Madrid, for Arsenal, for just in general, religious-wise, a lot of Muslims like football and get into football because of he is such a strong figure in the way that he represents himself, and he has got a lot of face to save, hasn't he? It's not like it's some player that doesn't play international football and has only just come in at a massive man. It's not like a Balotelli, is it? I mean, I love Balotelli, but Balotelli's been let go by so many clubs. He just takes the money and goes. and then he moves on to the next one. So I think a lot of it was the brand is actually, rather than save face, you've got the Mesut Ozil brand, and he doesn't want to damage the brand, does he?
I'm going to agree to disagree with you, Danny, because, like you said, I think everybody knows that he's not in the squad. It's not for footballing reasons at all, because he spoke out against China about the treatment of Muslims. That's the reason why. And
yeah, but then he played, like Josh says, he played 13 games after that.
Yeah, but I think the pressure after that, because he may have played 13 games after that, but 100% it was must have been pressure from overseas. Think about this. Are you honestly hand on heart telling me that having a Mesut Ozil in the squad is worse than not having him in the squad? You trying to tell me that even in the Europa League, even if in the FA Cup, even in the League Cup, he couldn't play a game? Are you honestly telling me even in the League Cup he couldn't get a game? Or in the FA Cup against Newcastle, you can't. Come on now. It's just ridiculous.
Well, there's a question for you. If Arteta could go back, Doctor Who could take him back in time, do you think Arteta would do the same thing all over again? Because it hasn't worked out for anybody, has it? Mesut should be playing. He should be involved in the thing. He's not going to have anything negative on the pitch, is he? Maybe not play him as much, but still have him involved.
Yeah, you've got to. I mean, how he doesn't even make the League Cup squad, ridiculous. How he doesn't make the FA Cup squad, ridiculous. So he's not for that. Is no way for footballing reasons, no way whatsoever. Because you just throw him in, wouldn't you? You just put him in the game to see what he can do. If you said, okay, we couldn't put him in Premier League because we didn't have enough thingy. Are you trying to tell me for footballing reasons he doesn't even make the FA Cup squad? As bad as we was when we was going through our severe run of form, that was ridiculous. He didn't make the squad to face Man City, and I think it was a loss with Arteta, because if he came in and he done brilliant, let's say he came against Man City and he set up 3 goals, everyone would be saying, "See, that's why he needed him in the squad." So it looks bad on Arteta. But if he came in and he done shit, Arteta would be like, the people say, like, well, you weren't playing him for footballing reasons. Why have you just thrown him in now? He's had no game time, and they just decided to throw him in against, one of the best teams in Europe. So for me, it was, I don't know. I just don't believe it's for footballing reasons, and whether when he leaves and this tell-all book that he might or might not write, who knows? But I just don't. There's got to be more to it. You don't just someone who's the highest paid player at the squad in the club. Someone whose assist record was brilliant. Yes, it's fallen by the wayside, but you don't tell me that you just do not play a player of that caliber for quote unquote footballing reasons. That's the equivalent of someone like, I don't know, Man City leaving out Aguero, or Man United leaving out Pogba. You know what I mean? It just doesn't happen, but it happens to Arsenal. It's silly, very, very silly.
It will be, like you said, interesting to see what he says when all this is said and done, because even if you look at the squad, he's the only player that hasn't played any sort of football at all. So you got Socrates, who obviously we know hasn't been included in the squad, but he's played, I think, 2 to 3 under 23 games as Socrates. Mesut has played 0 football since almost last February, to be honest with you. So almost coming up to a year now, he hasn't even kicked a ball. Socrates was on the bench and he came on during lockdown. Mesut didn't come on during lockdown, so he's been out of it for. Even Mustafi, who was injured, has come back and he's played 9 games. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And my guess is that him and his agent have probably just been told the same thing that we've been told, which is it's football reasons. So they probably haven't. I bet you they have not gone into detail with him. They probably just told him, "Oh yeah, we just made a decision based on football reasons." So it will probably be his guess as well as ours. He'll probably have his why it's happened, but he probably was just told, yeah, it's footballing reasons. But that being said, I'll skip past Mustafi and Socrates. I think Socrates is probably going to leave because he looks like someone who's hungry to play football. Mustafi, I think that situation is probably a lot more complicated with 6 months left. We'll see what happens anyway.
He's already stated he's going back to Germany, didn't he?
Has he? Yeah. Well, with 6 months left, I'm sure he can find a good club. If he can find a club to take him on now, that would be very helpful. I doubt we'll get a single penny for him anyway. So that's
I don't think we'll get a penny, but I just think that he needs to find a club that's, he needs to get paid, and I think that no matter what, he'll go to any club. I think any club in the world. If you're a free agent and any club in the world tells you, we'll come and pay you, I don't know, 40, 50 grand, you're going to go no matter what, because you have a livelihood to look after, you've got a family to look after. So
they said that's why he wants to move back to Germany, because he wants to finish his career in Germany with his family.
Yeah, he's got a young family, hasn't he? So
he's Italian. That's why he went to go to Inter that time, wasn't it?
Oh, is he? Okay.
I'm sure his wife's
well,
Italian.
Yeah. Good luck to him wherever he goes. We've got ample centre-back cover. We've still got Calum Chambers, who's warming up on the touchline, hasn't come on the pitch.
Weird, isn't it, that he's not played much. I'm just looking at the Socrates. His last game was in the EFL Trophy, where he lost 3-0 at Wimbledon. We had 2 players sent off. Game before that was the under-23 game, like you said, and the last Arsenal first-team game, 1st of August in the FA Cup.
There you go.
I don't know if he played in the FA Cup, did he?
Maybe
he came on as a sub for David Luiz. 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, he came on. Yeah, he came on as a sub. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see what happens with them. But one player that has sort of caused a stir today, which I don't know why, but I'll ask anyway, is Rob Holding, who signed a new contract to 2024. And one thing that we noticed there is Arsenal announced that it's got an option for 1 more year, which is something that they had not been putting in contracts before, but now seem to be putting in a lot more contracts.
Yeah, Willian's got one, hasn't he? It's 2+1.
I really hope it's 2+1, not a straight 3. That's scary. Yeah, because obviously last summer we thought David Luiz had 2, and then all that shambles at Man City happened, and then we found out he had a 1+1, which came out of nowhere. It came like a bolt in the blue to Arsenal fans, didn't it?
It's almost like it's none of our business.
But when he performs like he did against Man City, it becomes a bit worrying, doesn't it? That players are that concerned about contracts that they can put in performances like that. But Rob Holding, what do you think? Good, bad, indifferent? What do you guys think?
I'm happy with it. Do you know what I mean? The thing is with even if we're going to need to upgrade on Rob Holding, I think. Definitely. I think if you're playing one of Mari on Gabriel, we need another right-footed centre-back. At the moment, we've us losing, you think about it, we're going to lose Mustafi, we're going to lose Socrates, we're going to lose David Luiz. So at the moment, you are looking at what's his name again? Rob Holding, being our only right-footed centre-back, apart from Saliba. Well, who knows about Saliba? He's up in the air.
I think that ship sailed.
Yeah, so Rob Holding is literally our only right-footed centre-back. So we are going to need to buy a centre-back in the summer. That's 100% for sure. So I think it's good. I mean, he's 25, English. So even if we decide to sell him in, say, 2 years, he's going to have 1, the English premium, and 2, we're going to get quite a bit of money for him. So, and even if we don't, and even if we keep him, at the end of the day, Rob Holding he's a player that comes in and does a job. There's no thrills about him. He's not excellent. He's not brilliant, but he does a job for us, and that's what that's a good thing, that he can come in and do that. So I think it's good. I think it's a good bit of business, a brilliant bit of business, and I just think that he's. I just think it's good. I don't see any negatives to offering Rob Holding another contract.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I can't disagree with any of that, to be honest with you.
£2 million, and he's shown he is willing to wait, and he's not stamping his feet when he's not playing because he come from a team that just got relegated to League One. £2 million. He's going to be, if we take the 1 year option, he'll be 29 when that option expires. And for a centre back, 29, you're coming up to the peak of your career, aren't you?
Yeah, there you go. And one thing on centre backs that I'll say before we move on to goalkeepers is, I got this funny feeling that we've not seen the last of David Luiz in the summer. Just I'm just putting it out there.
Well, he's a cheeky chap. You can't help but like him, can you? I mean, some of the stuff he gets up to, I just like the bloke. I can't dislike him.
Yeah, he seems like a guy that knits the dressing room together.
You see, like when we scored, someone did Smith Rowe run up to him and grab him when he was warming up after Smith Rowe scored, or one of them did, or maybe it was Saka or Tierney or someone like that. There's a photo of him grabbing old Luiz and shaking him when Luiz wasn't even on the pitch. Yeah.
So we'll see how all that pans out. But one other random thing that popped up out of the blue yesterday in Arteta's press conference is the goalkeeping situation. Someone just threw a question at him, which is Matt Macey's gone on loan. What's your thoughts on your goalkeeping situation? And he went into an expansion which basically said we're looking to do something about it. And I thought he was going to say in the summer, and he said this window. And I thought, wait a minute, that came out of absolutely nowhere. And one of the things that also came out of that was that they were looking to loan out Runnison. And I thought, what the hell is going on here? What do you mean loan out Runnison? But I guess it kind of made a bit of sense when you were talking, Danny, about the homegrown type situation where Runnison is taking up a spot of a homegrown player. Now, first of all, let's talk about we've spoken about Matt Macey. Good luck to Matt Macey. Let's talk about Runnison first of all. What have we done here? What kind of signing is this? Is this the biggest panic signing in the history? Forget the price. The biggest panic signing since Park. Danny, what do you think?
Yes, in a kind of way. I'm trying to find out who it was because Runner the Gunner Runnison is Icelandic, plays obviously for Iceland. I don't like it when people say obviously, but this is obvious. And one of the backroom staff knows him from his time at Iceland. I think he was a goalkeeping coach there, but I can't find out who it was. He'd lost his place playing for Dijon. He lost it to the end of last season. The other goalkeeper come in. This season he hadn't had a sniff. I think they were looking at it. Hold on, we're getting 20 million quid for Martinez, who was a £1 million player 6 months ago. £20 million in, £1 million out. We'll just get any old goalkeeper who's available that's half decent. Oh, I know someone I used to work with the Icelandic national team. How much is he? £1 million? Get him in. And I think that was the situation. They didn't really. Matt Macey, you've spent time in the conference and League One. You were Plymouth. They finished bottom of the league and got absolutely smashed most games. He isn't an Arsenal player. And we've got my personal favourite that I always say there's always one young man to keep an eye on, Arthur Okonkwo. Oh, fucking hell. Sorry, Arthur, if you're listening. 6'4", 18. The man is going to be magnificent. He's going to be my new favourite player in upcoming seasons. He is coming through. We got the Estonian Karl Hein. I want to say Rummenigge, but I doubt that is his surname. Maybe that's his nickname. He's only 19, but I don't think. But looking at the under-23s, you've had 5 goalkeepers play for the under-23s in 9 games this season. But Arthur has played the last 2 games, and Arsenal's under-23 season was on its arse. Now we've won 4 in a row. So I think maybe that would be the future. Let Runnison go out and then bring someone else in, like we were saying earlier, an older goalkeeper who's been there and done it. But I can't wait to see Arthur given a game. Oh, Arthur! as they used to say on the buses. Actually,
Yeah, I think I think Carl, what do you think about this? Because this is quite a worrying situation. Because if you do bring in if you bring in a journeyman keeper, and are you not just back to the same position as in Bernd Leno's going to have to play every single game, because there's no keeper that you're going to bring in now that you're going to trust enough with your whole season, especially with the Europa League now becoming such an important part of our season. And you definitely wouldn't trust Runnison in goal in the Europa League, would you? So you're kind of just coming back to the same problem, aren't you?
I don't believe that playing a goalkeeper every game is such a bad problem.
Yeah.
Goalkeepers don't really need a rest, do they? Let's be very honest. If we was playing in the Champions League, Bernd Leno would be playing every game anyway, wouldn't he? So I don't see the issue with playing Bernd Leno every game. I am of the ilk of we do need a journeyman goalkeeper. You know, like the likes of a Joe Hart. You know, I know he's gone to the scum, but a likes of someone like him. If there's someone like him floating about, then for me that would have been ideal, absolutely ideal. You tell him that you're not going to get a game, you're not going to be number one. You know, if we get someone easy in the FA Cup, then yeah, I'll play you. Barring that, you are literally here for backup, and we're going to pay you 40 grand a week. You know, I guarantee to have that the fact that they played for Arsenal on their CV and they get in some money in, brilliant. I mean, look at was it Richard Wright who signed for Man City, never ever played for them, and was getting something stupid like 60-70 grand a week, only because he got signed because Man City needed a homegrown quota, and he never ever got a game, even like in the Europa, in League Cup, FA Cup, never played once for Man City. That, to the best of my knowledge, he didn't. So, and he literally was probably told, yeah, we'll pay you 70 grand a week. And he ruined his career. But at the end of the day, look how much money he was getting. So, for me, the goalkeeper situation was a bit of a joke. Randerson's not good enough. He's not good enough to play for Arsenal. No way. And I think it was absolutely a panic buy. And I hope he's not signed like a 4-year contract, although he probably has, to be honest. But he needs to be loaned out, and then hopefully next season loaned out again until we can fix the goalkeeping situation. But for me, I don't have a problem with playing Bernd Leno every single game from now to the end of the season. No problem in that whatsoever.
Look how often we moaned in the Wenger days of having a cup keeper. We don't want a cup keeper. We want the same. We want our best keeper to play the whole time. Did you know that Richard Wright's middle name is Ian?
Is it? Oh, God.
He joined Man City at 35, 4 seasons, 0 games, left at 39, a richer man.
Oh yeah, he left really rich, but it just goes to show you that he had, he was there and he knew for a fact that he was just going to get his money and go.
Yeah, and I think it's quite smart by Man City, because now their third keeper or whatever is Scott Carson. So they seem to plan on having, a homegrown keeper, no matter what age they are, experienced keeper on their books. So Scott Carson is, taking up a homegrown space rather than another place. So, we'll see how that pans out, but we'll keep an eye on it. I think something is afoot in the goal.
They do it all the time, though, didn't they? Remember Alex Manninger? Do you remember where he finished his career?
No,
I don't know.
Liverpool.
Ah, yes, I remember him playing for Liverpool.
Is Buffon busy? He's 50 odd. He'll come do a job at Arsenal.
He still gets games.
He still gets games, doesn't he? Because they definitely rotate him and our ex-goalkeeper. So
Wojciech.
Szczesny. Oh, what could have been?
Anyway, exactly. Another homegrown keeper that we.
Yeah, and that was, you know what I mean? That was very silly, us letting him go, especially for what was it, that 13 million?
Yeah.
And he went on to
Ridiculous.
go and be Juventus's number one. Like that was bad business.
For the
But
best
yeah,
team in the world.
yeah, but I obviously 100%. I think we will get a journeyman goalkeeper from somewhere out of left field. That you feel, oh right, is he still playing? Oh, I didn't know about him. And
Yeah.
he
Tell you,
we told,
David
yeah,
James.
he's retired, isn't he? He's
Doesn't matter. You still got it. Good-looking young man, full of the cheeky chappiness.
definitely not David James. Yeah, I think that will happen, and that goalkeeper will just be told, you know, you are the backup goalkeeper. Don't expect to play any games unless he gets injured or we draw someone very, very easy. Like if we do manage to get Shrewsbury in the cup, then you know if we get the goalkeeping by then, he might play. Barring that, yeah.
Another small concern: COVID. That's not even an injury, is it? Anybody can get COVID at the moment or be positive out for 2 weeks. Then what do you do?
I think that there are certain players at Arsenal that would be wrapped in cotton wool, and I think Leno is definitely one of them. Where
They keep him in a camper van at the back of the end.
Training ground. If you need anything, we'll go out and get it for you.
Yeah.
Don't
even open the doors yourself. Have Chris going around opening the doors for him.
They might even get him his own locker room so he doesn't come in contact with anyone as well.
But yeah, you're wrong there, Danny, at all. Do you know what I mean? If he has to be out for 10 days or he does catch COVID and
that's 3 or 4 games,
some bad symptoms, he's out for a while. So yeah, I think we need to think. We need to think smartly about this goalkeeper situation, and I personally think it needs to be done sooner rather than later. Not one of them January 31st. Oh yeah, by the way, David James, you're in the studio. Oh, do you want to sign for Arsenal? Yeah, it needs to be done quickly.
Arthur, that's all you need to know, ladies and gentlemen at home. Watch out, Arthur's coming, and Arthur means business.
I mean, do you think Man United will sell us one of their goalkeepers? They got 3, haven't they?
Henderson, wow.
Yeah, I can't believe he's still on there to be a backup. Like,
De Gea is out on his arse soon. Henderson is brilliant. They're gonna be, who's that one? The £100 billion goalkeeper at Chelsea that they never use.
They're talking about send him out alone in January. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Would we have him? But he's on a huge wage, though, isn't he? We have no luck with Chelsea players, do we? Fuck off. Don't want them.
All right, on to Thursday's game. God, the games are just coming. We've got a game on Thursday and a game on Monday. So
Iwobi's just scored tonight.
Oh, no way.
Magnificent.
Is he playing? Okay. So we have Palace on Thursday. Let's look at the Palace game. So a couple of things on the injury news that came out today. One of them is Gabby Martinelli. We were expecting the worst news possible. Everyone was ready to cry once again about Gabby, but the good news is he is only missing a few days of training, and they're hoping that he is back on by the weekend and ready for the Newcastle game. So that is good news. I hope that they manage him properly. So one of the players coming back we discussed is Partey. I think we did say we expect him to be on the bench. So what are your thoughts for the Palace game on the Thursday?
Palace have done really well against us lately, haven't they? I think they've got a few draws. They've beaten us at home as well. So by no means least is it going to be an easy game. I believe that they've got a few people out as well. I think Eze's out, isn't he? Injured or not injured. I think it's more to the fact that what he did going to the QPR
is he out?
game.
I haven't heard that one. Is he out?
I'm sure somewhere along the line they said he's not playing or he won't be available. Sure they did.
I think I've heard that as well. I remember thinking I don't recognise that name. There's a Z in it.
Yeah, so I think he's apparently out of the game.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's a threat. I think Palace's main threat is obviously Zaha. he's become a really whiny little see you next Tuesday. I've watched him a few games. He's really like, I used to kind of like him. I don't like him anymore. If you watch him, and I understand he gets kicked, I get it. But it's football. You get kicked in football. But lately, just watching him play, just constantly moaning, constantly doing shit, and just like get on with the game. So I think that's something we've got to look out for, because he'll just be told to get the ball and run. I think Palace's game plan is literally get the ball and give it to Zaha so he can run. And I don't know who they're going to try and target. They might, if Rob Holding's back, they're going to try and target Rob Holding, aren't they? Get the ball, run at Rob Holding, get the ball, run at Rob Holding. So I think we should have enough to beat Crystal Palace. Hopefully we do, and I truly do think it's at home as well, so we should have enough about us to go out there and beat Crystal Palace, because they're not on good form lately, are they? I think they lost. Did they lose the FA Cup game?
Yes,
they lost 1-0 to Wolves.
And then before that, they lost. Who did I see them play? And they lost.
They lost 3-0 there. The last few away Premier League games, lost 3-0 to Villa, 1-1 to West Ham. They beat West Brom 5-1, but then everyone does. Lost 1-0 at Burnley, 2-0 at Wolves, beat Fulham, and then got smashed 4-0 at Chelsea. So their away form, unless you're playing Fulham or West Brom, is rubbish.
Yeah. So we should have us to beat them.
Yeah, they're the kind of team that seem to give up once they're a goal or two down, as we saw against Liverpool. To be fair, the first half an hour of that Liverpool game, they played really well. But once they were down 2-0, Liverpool absolutely just destroyed them. And I watched them against Villa. Villa had 10 men for the whole second half and ended up scoring 2 more goals. Yeah, they were awful in that game. And let's see how they set up, because I don't know if Benteke will play up front or they'll play Zaha up front. But
between Batshuayi and Benteke, they've got 3 goals this season between them in 23 games, which means a hat-trick for each. Yeah, but you're right about Zaha. They're in that Crystal Palace pod, Arsenal. They said, what do you think about the game? I said, well, Zaha needs to shut up going on about, I wanted to go Arsenal and now I wanted now they won't let. No, you're a Crystal Palace player. Shut up. You're all about Crystal Palace. 8 goals in the league this season. He's by far not only their best player, but the best player they've had in years. And you've got the 2 strikers don't score. You've got unpronounceable in midfield, their penalty bloke. I think he's Eastern European, something like that, with lots of Zs and Qs and Vs in his name. I'm not even going to attempt to say. He's got no goals this season. You used to be able to get 10, 12 goals a season from him. Quite a lot of penalties, but maybe a few set pieces. How dare you, sir? Rubbing it in. What's his first name? Gary? I'll have a go at that.
Is it not Milo?
Milo.
I don't know, but yeah, they. It will be as always a tough game. They got, physical players in midfield, physical players at the back. It will be an interesting test for our youngsters playing against, the McCarthys of this world. Gary Cahill, I think,
get stuck in, didn't they?
Yeah. I think I've got a feeling for Oba in this game. I've got a feeling that he's one that needs to step up.
It is going to come good soon, isn't it? It has to.
Yeah. I think playing off the left, it will give him something in games like this, because he tends to ghost in, and where you've got Kieran Tierney just bombing forward, it allows him space to go inside. So I expect
Kieran takes people with him, and they can't cope with Tierney and Saka and Aubameyang. Well, Saka will probably play on the right, won't he?
Yeah.
But if you're a right back, you're going to be shitting your pants during that game.
Yeah. So let's see what happens. But it will be really good to keep our winning run going. I've heard that the longest winning run in the Prem this season is 4 games. And that's Everton have done that twice. So if we can at least get those 4 games, it will push us closer to the pack. Really, I think it's quite an important game. The next 2 games against Palace and Newcastle, we can get 2 wins going into a crazy fixture list that I mean, it's quite crazy that when you break down our fixture list, and I think it leads us on to the next point, which is the FA Cup draw. They made the draw for the fourth and fifth round together. And I found out today it was basically so logistic reasons, obviously with everything that's going on now, so teams can plan ahead, you know, who's coming and who's playing where.
Organised.
Who's playing where. So first of all, in the fourth round, we drew Southampton or Shrewsbury. And if we win that, we will play Wolves or Chorley. Let's look at it in a worst case scenario: away to Southampton, away to Wolves. Why this is interesting is because we have away to Southampton about 4 days before that tie in the league, and we have away to Wolves about 3 or 4 days before or after that tie would be as well. So this is what I mean by where you're getting a run of games that are getting incredibly tough and taxing on players. What do you think of that draw and the upcoming fixtures after the next two, Carl?
It's it's obviously not easy, is it? It's the games are coming thick and fast, like we were saying. I personally think that it's doable. Every game that we win now, we're growing in a little bit more confidence because all the games are doable. We obviously, going away to Wolves, someone who beat us at home, it is hard. We drew with Southampton at home, with Mr. Walcott scoring. But listen, I think if we can beat Southampton, I think confidence goes sky high, doesn't it? I think our confidence absolutely goes sky high because Southampton are playing very, very well lately. And I truly believe that if we can get past them, then that gives us a little boost, doesn't it? Like, if you think to yourself, we've managed to go away to Southampton, win. We are at the moment we're a cup team, aren't we? We definitely are a cup team. We literally play to win the FA Cup. It's what we've done. It's what we've done for the last few years. So I would rather. I mean, I don't want to throw any game. I'll be very honest with you, but I would rather throw the FA Cup game and win the league game because I think the league is much more important than the FA Cup game. So if I had to choose, or I would rather play. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'd rather play the more experienced players in the FA Cup game and the kids in the league game.
This is quite funny because I went back and forth with Poznan Paul, who made a guest appearance on our pod a few weeks ago. I went back and forth with him on Twitter last night, and I basically said, at this rate, exactly what you said. I said we are probably going to go out of the FA Cup because we're going to need to rotate for the FA Cup. And as we saw on Saturday, if you take 2 or 3 players out of our team, we are a shambles. Really, we don't look very good at all.
As they still in the first part of the Newcastle game until we brought the kids and Lacazette on.
Yeah, and to be fair to him, Granit Xhaka had a great game as well. Yeah. But if you're playing back-to-back games and you're playing not only back-to-back games, you're playing. I think we've got Man United in there, we've got Man City in there, we've got the Benfica games in there. You're definitely going to have to rely on players like Willian. You're going to have to rely on players like Pepe, like Reiss Nelson. You're going to have to, because they're going to have to play in the cup games, because it's impossible to have that level of fixtures and not something has to give in especially in this period. So what do you think about that? I mean, I said to Poznan, I said, I'll be honest with you, if we're putting Willian and Pepe and these guys in, we're likely to lose to a Southampton or Wolves. How do you think that would make you feel? Do you think we could navigate through it, Danny, or do you think like Carl said, it might be the FA Cup might have to be the one that gives this year?
Well, it's not like the players are shit, though, is it? We've seen that with Lacazette, the only problem was he was being asked to do a little bit too much and he didn't have the support around him. He was coming back into our area to pick the ball up like Sanchez used to do and run through the team to get it. Now Lacazette can concentrate on being a goal scorer and being creative and doing that, and that's worked wonders. Now, Pepe is a good player. Willian is a very good player. And so it's only a matter of time until, hopefully, they click and this starts to work together. And this may be, with the team, everybody, the confidence in the team, everything is working. Everything's going in the right direction. 4 wins in a row. We should hopefully beat Palace and then beat Newcastle. That's going to be 6 wins in a row, Carl. And that, even the most down players, that's got to help their confidence, hasn't it? And hopefully bring them up to the same. Remember, like when we used to say with Sanchez, will the rest of the team come up to his level, or will they drag him down to theirs? And if there's quite a handful of players that are up at the top level, performing and doing it all, they've got to be bringing the rest with them, aren't they?
I mean, you're hoping so, aren't you? You are hoping that, you know, the likes of Willian are seeing these players and these kids play and thinking, these kids are outperforming me. I need to raise my game to get to their level. And the likes of Pepe, you know, thinking I'm being left out the squad for an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. So, you know, you're hoping that happens. But if he's not doing that now, what is he doing? I have to agree. I think I'm going to have to sort of, you know, side with Femi on this one. I think that we do play the more experienced players against Southampton for the FA Cup, and whether
it's ridiculous, isn't it? We're worried about playing the experienced international multi-million-pound players on high wages.
Imagine that. You know what I mean? So, but I think that happens, and I can only hope that we do beat Southampton and do go and beat Wolves if Wolves are the ones to make it through. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, it's even a boost to think that one of either Liverpool or Man United will be at the cup as well. So that kind of gives you.
I forgot about that.
That kind of gives you hope that, you know,
smooths the path a bit.
Run, obviously, you know, Man City always get a lower league tie because that's Man City. I was watching on Twitter who Man United and Man City have got in the FA Cup since 2018, and I think Man United, the only time they've played. No, sorry, I think it was Man City. The only time they've got a Premier League side was when they faced us in the semi-final. That's ridiculous, and I know it's all chance. I'm not saying it's all conspiracy, but you look at that and you think to yourself, "My gosh, seriously? Like, what's the odds that you haven't drawn a quote-unquote top 6 side?" It's just, yeah.
Looking at the FA Cup last season for them, home to Port Vale, home to Fulham, who were Championship, away to Sheffield Wednesday. Oh, they played Newcastle, and then they played us. So, not a bad start. Should I have a look at the season before that and see what they were doing then? Here we go. FA Cup, home to Rotherham, home to Burnley, away to Newport, away to Swansea, home to Brighton, and away to Watford. They scored 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 26 goals. That's not a bad draw, is it? And then they played in the League Cup. Burton Albion beat them 9-0. 7-0 they beat Rotherham. Yeah, and even Watford in the final, they beat them 6-0 in the FA Cup. So they are getting the rub of the green, aren't they, as people who play bowling say?
Yes. Hot on cold balls, that's all I'll say. But yeah, let's move on. I
mean, Femi's just going to come back and say that he's going. He did say half past. You have given us an extra 8 minutes because
that's all right.
We started late. So you off?
Yes. What else have we got to look at in this?
I was just talking about Man City getting really easy teams all the time and smashing them.
To be fair, I haven't looked at the draw. I just saw our ties and I was just disgusted
It's Liverpool, Man United. That's
yeah, I
the
saw that actually. Yeah, I did see that. I mean, yeah, Ole and I mean, they've got to play each other twice now in a couple of weeks, aren't they?
Oh, that's
They're
a
playing
shame.
each other. They're playing each other next week, so that's a result for us, I guess. I can see us hopefully shooting up the league. I'm really hopeful. I'm really hopeful that we've gone through probably our worst period in a long time in our history, and I'm hoping that we've something might click. When you see players like Xhaka putting in a performance like he did on Saturday, I'm hoping something's clicked. The players seem a lot happier, a lot more together. So yeah, no, we've. I'm hopeful, optimistic, coming into the big run of games. But let's worry about Palace first. I think get through that first and foremost. Don't know what you guys think.
Definitely,
Yeah.
you can only play what's in front of you, and you need to play the next game. And Palace at the moment are the threat to us moving up the table. So if we beat Palace, then we go and beat Newcastle. We're literally right in the mix, not of the championship trying to win it, but at least in the mix of top four, which I think which is the aim of this season.
Yeah, but yeah, I just want to thank you guys for. I'm gonna shoot off now, but I'll let you guys wrap up the show and bring us home nicely. But it's been a great show. Fantastic. See you soon.
Cheers, Femi.
See you later,
Cheers,
Femi.
guys. Take care.
Bye. Right. So, what other bits did we need to? Wasn't he good? Wasn't he good hosting for his first time?
He's better than Chris.
No, that's not hard, is it? Chris didn't. Out of all of our things, Chris didn't even reply to say whether he's free or not. Scumbag.
Because he told you he's like Trump, isn't he? Hasn't got a fucking Twitter account, fucking orange, and I love you, Chris. But yeah, he's probably busy emailing Twitter. Can I have my Twitter account back, please?
3 months. It's driving him mad, poor bloke. We've got I've
had more information about French football since Chris has gone. Accurate information, I might add as well. Since Chris has gone. From the one he's been there, he don't know shit, does he? Get French football. That's what we like.
We've got 3 questions. So shall I do the 3 questions? No, have we covered everything? Do you think?
I just want to touch on Tierney quickly. He's going to need a rest soon, isn't he? Like 100%. We spoke about this on Sunday, didn't we? But
well, does he? He's Nigel Winterburn would have said I played about 500 games in a row without missing a game, and Tierney looks like I'm surprised he just wasn't wearing his underpants running around in the snow, because he's rock hard, and the injuries he's had have been shoulder injuries when he's fallen on them. So as long as he doesn't fall over, I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, because obviously footballers don't like to tackle and slide and fall on the floor and get barged on the ball. I do think you need to protect certain players, and I think Tierney needs to. I'm not saying you got to play in one game, play him not, but I'd play him against Palace, but I'd rest him against Newcastle personally. I think it would be a time where you think, like you put up the stats on Saturday, didn't you, Danny? He's played 90 minutes nearly every single game.
I think one game he didn't play, and the other one he came off in the 81st minute.
So that guy definitely needs a rest. You need him to sit out a game and just literally say, okay, we're only going to play you if we really, really need you.
Palace are quite a physical team, so maybe we're at home. They're not very good. Should we rest him against that game?
I personally would go for Newcastle. Newcastle are not in good form at the moment, and I think
good point actually.
You would be better playing Maitland-Niles against Newcastle, and then
Conservative. Oh, it's been a while, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd go for that personally rather than play him against rest him against Palace. So that's my 2 cents on Kieran Tierney.
Yeah, I kind of agree. What have I done here? I'm just getting ready to sort of things out. Yeah, you can't play him all the time, because if he gets injured, what are we going to do? I mean, Cedric can play there, but Cedric isn't he's not a bad player, but he's not someone who you're looking forward to see him play. He seems a little bit rash at times, a little bit. I only like people like Tierney to get forward as a fullback or a wing back to get forward and do that stuff because he does it properly. Bellerin runs down that right wing all day, night, and he still never really does much down there, which means he's going to do it next game and set up 3 players for hat trick of assists. So just going to go and have a look at the scores. It's still Wolves 1, Everton 1 with 20 minutes to go, and Burnley 0, Man United 0.
Yeah, I'm watching that at the moment. It's
I was looking at our upcoming fixtures. We'll beat Palace. We'll beat Newcastle. Away to Southampton. Yeah, not really bothered if we get knocked out of the FA Cup. We've already discussed that. Away to Southampton in the league again. Well, I think we can learn some tactical lessons from the first Southampton game if by the time we play the second one. Home to Man United. That's a tricky game, but you've seen they're not exactly on. Nobody's on form. And then we're away at Wolves, away at Villa, home to Leeds, and then the European campaign starts again the 18th of February. So there's no games there that I'm overly worried about. You?
It's Arsenal. You would have seen us playing Burnley at home and Wolves at home, and you would have thought, oh yeah, that's 6 points there. But I'm hoping that, like Femi said, the bad run of form has gone, and now we can sort of turn the tide a little bit. Man United at home, I think we should beat them. I'm quite confident. Palace at home, we should beat them. Southampton away, I'll be very honest with you, I don't think we'll win that game. I don't think we will. But this is Man United have just taken the lead.
Scored Fernandes. Was it a penalty?
No, Paul Pogba.
Has he turned up? Excellent.
But yeah, I think that we're on a run at the moment, and hopefully we can keep it going. It's good for us to keep the run going. We need it. We need momentum. So for us, yeah, let's see what we can do against these other teams.
Made up the title for the show: Big Bob, Arthur, and transfers. There you go. That summed everything up. Telling you, watch out, people. Arthur's coming this time next season. Be banging on the door for first team. 6'4" at aged 18. Carl, how tall are you? 6'8", 6'9", 7 foot, 7'2". I was sitting down at the time. I can't remember. You just look very tall.
6'2", Danny. 6'2".
Yeah. So if he's 6'4" at 18, what's he gonna? Is he gonna get taller than that? Do you think?
Well, he might have had his growth spurt and stopped.
My mum's 5'10". She's going backwards. I mean, she's only got 2 inches, and she's officially allowed to do panto. Oh no, she's not. Right. I'm just going to go and paste this in somewhere so I don't forget it. Right. The questions. Shall I move on to doing our wonderful listeners? They could only be bothered. Hold on. We've got 30,000 followers on Twitter. Scumbags, a lot of them. They've had 3 questions.
It's because Chris couldn't retweet, basically.
No, that's probably what it is. I should have actually included you lot in the tweet, and then then you could all retweet it. Okay, note to self, I've only been doing this 9 years. First question, Carl from Kyle at Destructible Cake. Thoughts on Rob Holding's new contract, what he brings to the team, and who next should be looking to give new contracts to? And then he says that was a little bit more to that, but I've taken it actually, it made no sense. And he's put Arsene Wenger's quote: he is English, he is 20 years old, I'm sorry he didn't cost 55 million, so it cannot be good. Cheeky quote there from Wenger. Yeah, so we've covered the Holding a little bit, but who do you think should be the next ones getting new contracts? And
it depends how you want to keep long term. If you're looking at the squad as a whole, do you really want to keep Granit Xhaka? No. All the rest of the players that are leaving, do you want to keep them? No. I personally would probably tie down Kieran Tierney. I'd tie him down for a little bit. You're looking at Saka. He's just signed the contract, hasn't he? So you don't need to sign. He's signed the contract.
Give him another one, just in case.
Yeah, so I don't know how long Emile Smith-Rowe's got left on his contract, so you're looking at him. I don't know how long Martinelli's got on his contract, so you're looking at him. So I would say Martinelli, Smith-Rowe, and then you're looking at Kieran Tierney. Those three.
Saving the title of the podcast. Come on. Wouldn't let me save it, scumbag. Yeah, I think we've got to look after these young players. There's been those rumours that apparently Tierney wanted to go to Napoli, or was it Napoli? No, he doesn't. Has he any idea how hot it is in Napoli? He'd die. If they said he was going to go to Fram Reykjavik, then that I'd find more believable, because he'd be knee-high in snow every single game. So I think the contracts people, whoever they're doing it, they are getting the right players at the right time and securing them. But Tierney's only been there 18 months. I don't know how long. I don't know if Wikipedia will say how long his contract is for. Oh, it does. I know it says year signed. No, it doesn't say how long his contract is for, which is a shame. But he's definitely someone that is probably the end of this season, maybe, like you were saying, might get a new contract. Make sure keep him at the club, because he doesn't seem like the kind of player that when you double his wages, he's going to go out and spend it on Lamborghinis, hookers and coke. Probably be licorice, iron brew, and some a woolly hat. Because is there anybody at the club that is more loved by the fans than Tierney?
No, he's definitely loved.
Oh, I can't even talk about it. I'm getting giddy. Right, next question. Scroll up. From Ronry, who is at TRENRY14. I can't even speak when I'm reading it. He says, the experiment playing Alba centrally clearly hasn't worked. Lacazette is coming back into form, but are our backup forwards good enough? Or should a centre forward be a priority in the transfer market? Yeah, we haven't talked about possibly buying a striker, have we? What do you think?
I don't think we will buy a striker. I think that Lacazette's kind of coming into form. I think if you look at Lacazette coming into form, and then you got to look at he's still got Eddie there, and then if you really need if you had to really need to, you could play Martinelli up front as well. So I don't think we need a striker. Aubameyang will find his form. He just needs the right people around him. So if you think we've got, we just named like 4 strikers there, and if push comes to shove towards the end of the season, if he needs to play Balogun, he's still there as well, even though he's going to leave. So no, I think a striker at the moment is not top priority. I think top priority right now is a creative midfielder to feed the strikers that we already have.
Plus, we've got another 18-year-old that we've just signed, young Swedish Nico Moller. He has scored 6 goals in 3 goals in 6 games this season for the under-23s. We've got, because so many of our under-23s are now in the first team, all of our under-18s have moved to the under-23s. And so for him in his first season as an 18-year-old to getting a goal every other game, I don't even think he's starting all the games. And the under-23s have been ravaged this season by injury, by form, by everything. And so we've got quite a few. We bought another one, a young Dutch bloke called Joel Idaho. He's only 17. He's been playing for the under-21s again. Under-23s, I forget, because they changed the name of it. And then we've got, it says here, Jordan McInnough, but I don't think he's a striker. But we've got so many young things coming through. And in case people are wondering what the next wave of Hale End Academy players coming through is going to be, you got people like Miguel Aziz, and there was Swanson. That's another good one. But then we've got people like Joel Lopez, who's the Spanish left back, who's really, really good. And there was another one, Reynolds or something like that. Maybe he's still playing for the under-18s. But there's another there was a young right back coming through that George Bird was talking about that has come through and has played a couple of games for the under-23s. Was it Norton Cuffy? God, double-barreled names always get me. So there's I think the next batch is going to be Arthur and a few defenders that are going to be the next one, banging on the door of the first team going, oi, Mikel, give us a game. So that's something to look forward to. Final question, Carl, from Chris Nielsen, spelled with a K. who is at Chris Nilsson number 4, or just the 4, not the number bit. He says, what 3 things did Arteta learn from the Newcastle game? We covered this a little bit, but good question. What do you think?
He can't trust
Should
them.
we shoot more?
Yeah, I think he's learned that the kids at the moment are the first team and the more experienced players are not. I think that he's learned that Kieran Tierney can just run and run and run. He's on Duracell. Definitely. And I think he's learned that he has a problem with Willian and Pepe. I think he knows now that that's going to need to be addressed maybe in the summer. I'll probably say not now, but in the summer. Willian's going nowhere, let's be honest with you. Willian is 32?
1. Nice, I think he's 31 still. There's been rumours of him going to Italy, wasn't there? Like Inter Milan or something like that, but we're never that lucky with it.
No,
and he probably will come good. Just takes a matter of time.
Yeah, but how much time do we have? We've got 2 players at the moment who are not playing.
The money and wages those 2 are costing us, and Saka's the one on a free who's cost us nothing.
You've got Pepe and Willian who are just not doing it at the moment. I don't think Pepe. I really, really want Pepe to come good. I really do.
It's not going to happen.
I don't see it. I don't see Pepe coming into the squad and tearing it up like he did in France. I just think maybe he's homesick. I think he's just not. This league's maybe too rough for him. I don't know, but he just hasn't settled, and I just don't think it's going to happen. And we're going to take a massive, massive loss on him. It's 100% certain it's going to happen, isn't it? Like, we're just going to take a loss and cut our losses and let it go.
And we've seen Arteta has tried Willian on the right midfield, right wing kind of ish, and then he's played him in the 10. He's played him in the false 8, 9, 10, whatever position that was. He's played him a little bit deep. He's tried him in so many positions, and at times during games he's drifted over to the left, and it isn't working. Meanwhile, Saka's coming in, banging it on the left, on the right, in the middle, up front. I reckon he could put Saka in goal. It's just Willian's got to look at him and think, I hate you. You're everything. You're doing everything I should be doing. But Willian's just run. He's head down, isn't it? He's always got his head down. He never looks happy. Which is a shame because Willian was one of the best players at Chelsea over the last few years, consistency-wise. It's a shame. I'm just looking at the league table. Everton are now winning. We have a few minutes to go. So Everton are going to go from 7th to joint 4th. And Man United are probably going to go top.
Yeah, Man United go top if they win this time.
Yeah, they'll be 3 points clear and all played the same number of games. So,
they can't win it. Fucking no way.
No. If we win tomorrow, which we will on Thursday, we'll have 26 points. And that, although that will put us on the same points as West Ham, Chelsea and Villa, our goal difference will be probably +2 or +3. So maybe go above West Ham. But then it's another game after that we win. And then another one. Then we could be in top 4, top 6. It's amazing. What a season, though, isn't it? It's just crazy. Everyone's losing games. Like that. What's that stat you said? Or Femi said? No team has won more than 4 in a row.
Yeah, ridiculous. I mean, you just think to yourself, if we had won against Burnley at home and won against Wolves, we'd be 6 points better off. Where would we be now? We'd be in top 4. It's just
Leicester didn't deserve. We didn't deserve to lose to Leicester. That game could have got a draw out of that.
Yeah, Leicester has 9 points better off. Like,
Yeah.
It's just all ifs, buts, and maybes.
But we can't do anything about it. All we can do is look forward. And
Indeed, to the Palace game, and hopefully we'll shut that moaning, flipping Zaha up. And
would you be surprised to hear that so far no one has put their hand up for Thursday's show? Raj has put his hand up for next week's podcast, people. So Raj will be on. I don't know who's going to be on with him. But yeah, no one is. I know it's a tough time with people with working from home and all this other stuff. The world's falling apart. So it might just be me, Carl, on Thursday. I don't talk about football.
Me, I'm here as well. So it could be us, Danny. 3 in a row, Danny.
Hey.
Patrick. But if you need me, I'm here. But, hopefully we'll be talking about a Palace loss and an Arsenal win.
A 9-0 win with Aubameyang getting all 9. Stat padding. What a shit bag. Right, I think that's it. Is there anybody? We haven't done gentleman's nods for a while. Should we give some out? Is yours going to go to Boris Johnson, your old mate? He used to give you a ring when he wanted stuff.
Oh no, I will.
You have spoken to him, though, haven't you?
Every day. I've told him to make tighter restriction lockdowns, and he said, "Fuck it, I'm going for a bike ride."
Typical scumbag. If only he listens to you. I think my gentleman's nod is probably going to go to Mike from the Gooners podcast, because I was listening to his podcast. I paused it and I sent him a really shitty WhatsApp message saying, "Stop banging your fuck." He keeps doing this. Like, when I'm making a point, I bang. We know who used to do that. He used to drive me up the fucking wall. And then he'd be getting things, and then he'd be rattling things around and banging it and doing all that lot. And fucking Michael, you stop doing it. I can't fucking listen. I've told you before, and it turns out I hadn't told him before. So my first warning should have been, Mike, is there any chance you could stop banging the table? I went straight in, as John would say. I went straight in and went straight full 100%, and it was horrible to him. And then Andy told me that Mike had a little cry over it. So, Mike, if you bother watching this, I'm very sorry for being mean to you. You better sort your fucking audio out, for fuck's sake, man. Stop banging the table. Carl?
I'm going to go to the last Arsenal person I interacted with.
Or have you had some of those lovely ladies from Eastern Europe going, I want to be going to follow you and send you sexy pics? They don't. It's a lie. five times in a row I've been done by that.
It's from experience, Danny, yeah?
Yeah, gutted. Each and every time they get my hopes up, I send them my filthy pics, and then suddenly their account goes dormant. Gutted. I say they're my dirty pics. They're not the ones that John sent me of John. So they're nicely trimmed, because John uses Manscaped. If you go to manscaped.com and use the word Bergkamp, you get 30% off, 20% off, 10%. You know, Carl, I can't remember. While you're having a look, I'm going to put the little banner up that will tell me what sort of percentage it is.
I think you should. And I can't get this. My shout out goes to Liam Greyhurst.
I know him.
Greyhurst 01. He's the last person I interacted with. So, you look at him. He's all famous. Oh, I know him. But yes, he's the last person I spoke to. He is followed by the Bergkamp Wonderland. He's not followed by you, though, Danny. So you don't like him very much, do you?
I have. There's loads of people on there that I've been speaking to. Unless I know them personally or I've done a podcast with them, I don't follow them, because there's too much noise out there. And the more people you have following you, people on Twitter, listening. Are you listening to me, people? You don't. People who go around saying, "Oh, I want followers." You don't want followers, do you, Cole? Because the more people you have following you, the more people you have telling you you're wrong when you state something, make a stupid fact like I do when I'm moaning about shit that has absolutely no fucking reason. But a lot of people that follow me don't realise I say stuff to tweak the nipples of common decency. I like to annoy people. I like to tweet stuff that makes no sense, or just agree with something that shouldn't be agreed with. I like to do it. And then my favourite one is when someone spells something wrong, and I say, "Look," and I say, "You've done that completely wrong. Why don't you learn to spell?" And I spell SPEAL. And the number of times they come back to me and go, "You can't even spell right." And I think, a double win for me there, I think. So, yes, I think, Carl, we are almost at 7,000 subscribers. No, still at 6,999, because quite frankly, you people, you're scumbags. I've said this in the last show. Did it not happen, Carl? People unsubscribed from our YouTube channel. I think we lost 20. Here you go. On the 5th of January, we lost 10 people. So we're currently, if I go and click on the live thing, it says 6,990. Like I said before, people, there's podcasts that get that many a week that have never been to see Arsenal play, that don't know what Highbury is, that think football was invented when Arsene Wenger became Arsenal manager, that have no idea who Paul Iderson, John Jensen, and Eddie McGoldrick are. We've had the dark times, Cole. So the very least these people can do. If you're listening to this, pause it, go and click subscribe on YouTube. Because look, 30% of you on average are the one. 30% of the listeners are subscribers. You other 70%, as Alan Davis would say, not Ian Davis. I don't know how Ian Davis is. Freeloading scumbags. Just go and click subscribe. So I fully expect Carl to be just below 6,000 subscribers by the next time I go and have a look, as 1,000 people have unsubscribed.
I mean, I personally blame Chris.
Oh, always. Well, I've not heard from him for a few days. So,
I mean, just tweet him. Oh, actually, maybe not.
No, maybe I'll email him. Maybe that might help. Right, I think we're all done here, Carl. Are we?
We are indeed. We are back on Thursday when we will beat Crystal Palace. We don't know who is on yet. It might be Danny by himself. It might be me and Danny. It might be whoever. But
Might be everyone. 30 of us.
Indeed. But yes, Danny, if Femi was here, he'd be saying thank you very much for hosting this call, because you're the button monkey. You have to be here, and it's your podcast, and we just bow down to your absolute greatness.
No, you do not. None of you do. You all bully me.
I think that's a lie, Danny. But
yeah, look, just to make you happy, look what I put up there now, scrolling across.
Oh, look at you.
What better way to end a podcast with, in fact, Carl, end the podcast, you can do it.
Okay, so dear listener, thank you for tuning in. We much appreciated. And keep yourself safe. And remember, always remember, #fuck Ellis. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.